You told yourself it would just be 5 minutes, just to relax after a stressful day, just to help you sleep, just because you're bored and there's nothing else to do. 3 hours later, you're still there, clicking through tabs, searching for the perfect content, feeling simultaneously aroused and disgusted with yourself. Your eyes burn from screen time. Your body is exhausted. You know you need to stop. You want to stop, but you can't. Tomorrow, you tell yourself, tomorrow I'll quit. Tomorrow I'll be different. This is the last time. Except it's never the last time. You've said last time hundreds of times. You've deleted your history, installed blocking software, made solemn promises to yourself. And every single time, within days or sometimes hours, you're back. The pull is too strong, the craving too overwhelming, you feel ashamed, broken, weak. You see people casually mention watching porn like it's no big deal, something they can take or leave. And you can't understand why you can't do that. Why for you, it's not casual entertainment. It's a compulsion you can't control, an addiction that's consuming your time, your energy, your relationships, your sense of self. People don't take it seriously. Just stop watching. It's not a real addiction. You just lack self-control. They don't understand that you've tried. You've tried everything, and nothing works. Tonight, I'm going to show you why porn addiction is neurologically real, why it's so incredibly difficult to break, and why your inability to quit isn't a moral failure. It's a brain that's been hijacked by one of the most powerful reward mechanisms evolution ever created. And before we dive deep into applied psychology, subscribe to the channel. Tell me in the comments where you're from. Development Affections was 28 years old when he finally admitted to his therapist that he was spending 4 to 5 hours every day watching pornography. Not because he wanted to. Not because he enjoyed it anymore, but because he physically couldn't stop himself from seeking it out. I hate it, Marcus said, voice heavy with shame. It's destroying my relationship. I can't perform sexually with my girlfriend anymore, only with porn. I'm exhausted all the time. My work is suffering. I know it's a problem. But I can't quit. I've tried everything. What Marcus was experiencing wasn't moral weakness. It was neurological hijacking. And the science proves it. Dr. Gary Wilson's research on pornography and the brain shows that internet porn creates a unique form of addiction because it combines several powerful factors. Sexual arousal, one of the strongest biological drives, novelty, easily accessible through endless clicking, and escalation, the need for increasingly intense stimuli to achieve the same dopamine response. When Marcus watched porn, his brain flooded with dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. This is the same chemical released during drug use, gambling, eating, any pleasurable activity. But sexual arousal triggers particularly intense dopamine release because reproduction is evolutionarily critical. Here's where it becomes addiction. With repeated exposure to porn, Marcus's brain developed tolerance. The same content that used to produce a strong dopamine response no longer had the same effect. He needed more time, more tabs, more extreme content to achieve the same neurological reward. This is classic addiction neurology. Dr. Nora Vokow's brain imaging research on addiction shows that addicts' brains show reduced dopamine receptor density in the reward circuitry. Translation: the brain becomes less sensitive to natural rewards and increasingly dependent on the addictive substance or behavior to feel normal. Marcus recognized this pattern in himself. Activities he used to enjoy, playing guitar, spending time with friends, even sex with his girlfriend, felt flat, unrewarding, uninteresting. His brain had been so overstimulated by the concentrated dopamine hits from porn that natural pleasures couldn't compete. There's also what Dr. Donald Hilton calls the pornography pathway, a specific neural circuit that gets strengthened every time you watch porn. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Every viewing session was literally building and reinforcing a brain pathway that associated screens, alone time, stress, boredom, any trigger with pornography. Marcus's triggers were everywhere. Stress at work, his brain said porn will fix this. Feeling lonely? Porn will help. Bored? Anxious? Tired? The answer his brain automatically generated was always the same: porn. This wasn't conscious decision-making, it was automatic neural pathway activation. like muscle memory but for addiction. Dr. Patrick Carnes' research on sexual addiction identifies that porn often serves as emotional regulation, a way to manage uncomfortable feelings. For Marcus, porn wasn't primarily about sexual pleasure, it was about escape, numbing, avoiding whatever he was actually feeling. When Marcus examined his usage patterns, he realized he wasn't watching porn because he was horny. He was watching because he was stressed, anxious, lonely, bored. Any negative emotion triggered the compulsion. Porn had become his primary coping mechanism for any discomfort. This is why quitting is so difficult. You're not just fighting a habit, you're fighting your brain's entire emotional regulation system. When you remove porn, you remove the tool you've been using to manage feelings. And those feelings don't just disappear, they intensify. Marcus's first attempt at quitting lasted 3 days. By day 4, he was overwhelmed with anxiety, restlessness, irritability, classic withdrawal symptoms. His brain, deprived of its usual dopamine source, was in crisis. And the easiest way to end the crisis was to give the brain what it wanted: porn. Dr. Norman Doidge's work on neuroplasticity shows that porn addiction actually changes brain structure. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control, decision-making, willpower, shows reduced activity in addicts. The amygdala, responsible for emotional response and cravings, shows increased activity. Your brain is literally reconfigured to prioritize porn-seeking behavior over self-control. It's not that you lack willpower, it's that the part of your brain responsible for willpower has been weakened, while the part responsible for cravings has been strengthened. Marcus also discovered something painful. Modern internet porn is specifically designed to be addictive. The endless variety, the constant novelty, the escalation to more extreme content, these aren't accidents. They're features that keep users engaged, clicking, coming back. Dr. Gail Dines' research on the pornography industry reveals deliberate strategies to maximize user engagement and create habitual use. The related videos algorithms, the constant suggestions for new content, the escalation pathways that gradually introduce more extreme material, all designed to keep you watching longer and coming back more frequently. Marcus was fighting an industry that had spent billions of dollars figuring out how to make their product as addictive as possible, using neuroscience and psychology to exploit his brain's reward systems. His breakthrough came when his therapist reframed the addiction. You're not morally weak. You're neurologically hijacked. Your brain has been trained, through thousands of repetitions, to seek porn as its primary reward and coping mechanism. Breaking that requires retraining your brain, not just exercising willpower. Addressing the underlying emotional issues Marcus was avoiding with porn, developing healthier coping mechanisms for stress and negative emotions, rebuilding dopamine sensitivity by abstaining from porn and allowing his brain to recalibrate, and restructuring his environment to remove triggers and create barriers to access. The recovery wasn't linear. Marcus relapsed multiple times. But each time, instead of shame spiraling back into compulsive use, he treated it as data about his triggers and adjusted his approach. 6 months into recovery, Marcus's brain began healing. Activities that had felt unrewarding started feeling pleasurable again. His relationship improved dramatically. His energy returned. Most importantly, he no longer felt controlled by the compulsion. The science is clear. Porn addiction is neurologically real. It creates the same brain changes as drug addiction: dopamine dysregulation, tolerance, withdrawal, compulsive seeking despite negative consequences. You're not weak for struggling with it. You're experiencing a completely predictable neurological response to a supernormal stimulus that's designed to be addictive and delivered through technology that makes it more accessible and more potent than any previous generation has ever encountered. Breaking free requires treating it like the addiction it is, not like a moral failing or a simple habit. You need to understand your triggers, develop alternative coping mechanisms, address underlying emotional issues, and give your brain time to heal and recalibrate. Recovery is possible, but it requires acknowledging that this isn't about willpower or character. It's about a brain that's been trained to depend on porn for dopamine and emotional regulation, and that brain needs deliberate retraining to function without it. If you're trapped in porn addiction, you're not alone. Millions of people are fighting the same battle, and you're not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what brains do when exposed to supernormal stimuli: adapting, building pathways, creating dependencies. The path out isn't shame. It's understanding, patience, and systematic retraining of your neurological reward systems, your brain can heal. The pathways can be weakened and new ones built, but it takes time, support, and treating this like the serious addiction it actually is. And that's the end of our experience. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It's very important for us to know the truth. Be honest in the comments, leaving creative suggestions so we can improve the quality of our content more and more. Comment where you're from, check out the video on the screen. I'm sure you'll like it. See you in a few seconds. We are Applied Psychology, and this is our contribution. Subscribe.